you've spent a lot of time analyzing the surveying the land of online stuff and church stuff. What do you think's coming next for all of this in digital ministry and online church? No pressure. Tell us the exact right answer now.
Well, I mean, are you you want to jump into some of the 2022 insights that are out there already, or?
I would like to know that because I've looked up some of it, but this would just be helpful for me and probably for others too. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and just what do you think too? Because you read the insights, but you also have been in this game enough to analyze it and kind of have your own kind of, here's my hunch. So I want the Sammy Kelly hunch.
Sure. So, okay, separating some of the stuff that I read and was recently kind of struck by, because I didn't think of that stuff. The stuff that makes sense for me that I'm just reading confirmation of in these insights is vulnerability, authenticity, storytelling, which TikTok is I mean, if you want a platform to look at TikTok, because what a great example of a platform that at first was just something that people were that's the kids, let them do their dances, whatever. And as people are flocking to it, people are thinking, should we pay more attention to this? No. But eventually, I mean, at this point, I would say all generations are on TikTok. I follow people of all generations on TikTok using it well. And they're not production studios making well-edited masterpieces. These are people holding their phones, telling a story, being authentic, connecting with people like we're doing right now, or you would do with anyone in the room. And that just doesn't feel very mind-blowing to me, because that's, again, as a user of the internet, it's just okay, yeah, that's what people do. But it's such a important piece of it for someone coming in new to digital ministry to realize this is not a show. It doesn't need to be a show. This is about connection, and TikTok is a good place to learn about connection in a real way, I think. So that's one.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I mean, because you packed into it, vulnerability, authenticity, storytelling, just as things that humans gravitate towards, always have for, at least 6,000 years, or as long as there's been humans on the earth. And then TikTok as a particular platform really caters to vulnerability, authenticity, storytelling in such a natural way. And I'll be honest, I was skeptical of TikTok for a while. I can technically claim to be an OG user because I had an account for Musical.ly back before it became TikTok. Yeah,
OG
but only because my niece got me on that one Christmas, and we made some weird music videos together, and then I forgot about it. And then I was at South by Southwest the year that TikTok hit the map, and I was no, it's that dance thing. I'm never no,
back.
And I'm I was there when it was becoming a thing, and then I was still just skeptical, and then it's been seeing so many other adults using it for different there's something here. So I think you just hit it with authenticity, vulnerability, and storytelling. That is definitely three things we should think of in any platform we're using online, but TikTok is a platform that builds that into it so naturally.
Absolutely. Ready for another one?
Oh, please. Yes.
Okay. So I'll put the word out there and people can shudder a little bit, but the whole meta thing. I know, but so Sammy Kelly hot take is just what you just said about TikTok. Don't throw it out the window yet. I mean, just pay attention. And I think we, especially as people who do digital ministry, we can be so overwhelmed with all the platforms out there, all the things. Oh yes, I love it. He's already in it. He's paying attention through the VR. Oh, it's so great. I think we can get overwhelmed and just be all right, and I do this too. I'm just not gonna, for me, it's Clubhouse right now. I'm not gonna deal with Clubhouse. I'm sorry, I just can't put that on my radar right now. And so I get that people will see this new thing coming in and be oh, meta, what is this? I don't want to deal with it. I don't want anything to do with this. Keep me where I'm at. But just pay attention. You don't have to jump in. I'm not saying it's where all the Bible studies should go or whatever. But I just don't. I'm already seeing people scoffing at it, and it's if people are gonna flock there, just notice that, and whether you love it or not, try to be a little objective about what's happening. So, yeah, I love that you had the VR.
That's a good Sammy Kelly hot take, because people have all sorts of opinions about Facebook, or now known as Meta, the mothership, but even Facebook, the social network.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think regardless, you don't have to just go and buy a Oculus Rift, or now they're called a Meta Rift. I think they've changed the name on it.
Wow.
But it's paying attention to just that this is a thing in the world now, and don't do what I did to TikTok. Pay attention and give it some.
And again, it's not even necessarily like it means that you're planning, okay, our next Meta worship service will be held. Like, you don't, like, but I'm not suggesting that that's not going to happen at some point either. And I would just pay attention to how your people are engaging with it. And if all your people are like, Meta's stupid and I'm not doing the VR thing and I don't want one of those weird contraptions on my head, that's fine. But don't be sitting there without one if all of your people are, more comfortable in that way. It's tough.
That's good. I like it. You got another Sammy Kelly hot take? Because these are a lot of fun.
I've got one more, but it's more it's more something I learned, kind of like looking at statistics and stuff. I'm a big brand, I think it's called brand talk. I don't know if it's brand TikTok. It's a hashtag on TikTok. Like, watching how brands use TikTok, and I really think it's changing in the past few maybe weeks or months. I don't know how recent. Maybe I just paid attention lately. But like, brands are just taking on this like personification beyond just like, I saw Uno the other day like commenting on TikToks. It's like, what are you doing here? But like every comment they make is something related to Uno. And I see it with all these accounts. I'm not saying you do that as a church, but I think it's worth paying attention to what brands are doing, what marketing folks are talking about, because obviously they study how people interact, and they often study how people interact online, so we can learn a lot from them, even though I know we're not selling, we're a church. Like, I get that. I know that's an argument. But in paying attention to brands, what they're doing, a lot of them, or a lot of the research is saying people are really paying attention to brands walking the walk of what's important to them. So, for instance, people are valuing the values of the brands. They want to know that the products that they're using are, inclusive or cruelty-free, or like, there's just this new level of consumer engagement with the world that we don't really have to think about exactly that way as ministry folks, but let's pay attention to the way people want to see brands living out what they say is important. I think that's it. That's like my whole like rant boils down to paying attention. People are paying attention to brands living out what's important. So we as communities of faith need to also be living out what we say is important. So it kind of takes it to another level of what I said before about being clear about your values. So if you have these values, great, share them, be clear about them. But also, like, take action and share what you're doing. Like, share how you are engaging these things in the world, because that's mattering more and more to people, that we're not just, like, putting words out there. Which, obviously, we would want to be doing that anyway as a church, but sharing that you're doing that if you are doing that.
Well, I like that, because it's easy to think that we just look at brands for tips on how to sell stuff, and that's where it gets really weird feeling in church life, because I'm not trying to sell anything, or else we're going to start tipping over some tables here. But now, like you're saying, brands are telling stories. We're seeing the ways in which they share the story of their values, of the impact of their work. I mean, I'm a big Patagonia fan for a lot of those reasons. And when we get the Patagonia catalog, it's not really a catalog selling me clothes. It's a catalog telling me stories about the work they're doing in rainforests and around the world. And I'm like, so I can learn a lot from that. Now, they still might, to some end of the day, have a bottom line where they're telling stories to then sell goods. Cool, I'll get past that. But the church can learn about just how do we tell better stories that people want to hear and engage with. And I think the paying attention to brands thing is always smart. Like, I remember someone once told me, if you want to start a coffee shop, the best place to open it is right next door to a Starbucks, because Starbucks spends millions of dollars doing the research to know the exact best location for a coffee shop. So if there's no Starbucks around, it probably means there's not much foot traffic for coffee in that area. So you got to just be aware of what these people are doing and learn from it and hijack it in some ways for our own work as well. So
hijack it for
I
faith.
love all that.
I love it. I love it.
Hijacking capitalism for Jesus. That's what we're all about now.
Yeah, I think yes. No, I think you can make a podcast about that, Jim. I do love that though, because I mean, gosh, if you want a fun one to look up, like Duolingo is another one I recently found. Like just like these weird brands TikToks, but they're not afraid to like be goofy, to be raw, to like engage with people in the comment sections, and it's just like it's just a lesson for us as leaders of faith about how to engage with people online well, because it can be scary, you know, especially when you're behind a church account and you want to, you know, do it right or whatever, but at the same time people like need to be able to connect with the church account, and just being like strictly professional or whatever it is not always I don't know, not being authentic, not being raw.
Yeah, balancing like the voice of the institution, the church, but also contextual for the platform where you're having the conversation.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The kinds of comments that I leave as Riverside on TikTok are different than a comment I will leave to someone on Facebook or something. Or even different than Twitter, where I'll even maybe push a little farther on someone. Twitter and Instagram, Twitter and TikTok, I push pretty hard on things. But it's knowing the way in which conversation happens, and then how do you show up in that space, representing who you represent.
Right.